Yeah, I'll be
Hi,
quiet.
Becky.
Shh. Lovely says hi. Okay. So I just kind of want to go through Captivate a little bit, and I want to get my old podcast in here, and then I want to migrate our Out Fast podcast into here as well from Buzzsprout, so we can cancel our Buzzsprout account. Okay. And then,
Okay.
so that's kind of like the plan with this, and then we're going to launch a new one in here as well. So let's just go ahead. Have you watched this video yet?
Hello and welcome to Captivate. My name is Mark Asquith. I'm the CEO and co-founder here. And on behalf of my co-founder Kieran and the Rebel Base Media team, I'd like to take this opportunity to say what a pleasure it is to help you through your podcasting journey. Now, as a new user of Captivate, you are going to be presented with this very simple, very clean dashboard. But before you create your podcast, there are only really a couple of things that you can do. Down here on the left-hand side, you'll notice that you have your navigation, but you'll also notice that many of these links are actually unavailable. That's because they require a podcast. So I would highly recommend that you do one of three things. I'd actually recommend that you do them in this order. Number one, go ahead and just choose my account up here on the left-hand side, and you'll see that I've updated my account. I've put my name, my biography. I've added all of my social URLs and some external links. It only takes a couple of minutes, but it really makes sure that your team members, your podcast, your Captivate website, your Captivate shows themselves really start to look professional from the moment that you create them. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and save your account. And from there, jump back over to your dashboard. And from here, you really only have two options. Remember with Captivate that you can create as many podcasts as you like, and you can import as many podcasts as you like from other podcast hosts. So the first step in your Captivate journey should be to simply decide, would you like to create a brand new podcast using Captivate, or would you like to import podcasts from another host into your Captivate platform? Both of those processes are very simple, very guided, and very quick. Don't worry, we'll give you another video at each step so that you'll see exactly what to do and when. And you can always get a hold of us using the live chat icon down at the bottom right, where you can also search for articles of choice. We've got a lot of help there for you, and we've got the entire team ready and available to help. So welcome to Captivate, the world's only growth-oriented podcast host. Here's to your podcasting success.
So I guess I could do this real quick.
Yeah, it totally makes sense now.
Ugh, I hate this kind of stuff.
Is there anything you
I'm just making shit up at this point.
Is that a new photo? Yeah, it looks good.
Okay, this is where I kind of want you to come in and get the information that they gave you from podcast websites for this so that we can get this in here. I don't know how they did it or what they did. And then the same for Buzzsprout. Is that all right? Do you know how to go ahead and do that?
Yeah, not today, not today.
You're still muted.
You want me to get that now?
Yeah. If you want to go ahead and
Yeah, from Buzzsprout, right?
not from Buzzsprout, where podcast websites gave you here instructions as well.
Oh, okay.
For the old other one.
Let me see.
And then we also have a feed from Buzzsprout. So if you want to go find the one from podcast websites, yeah, I'll do the Buzzsprout one.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
I think they emailed that back to us. Exactly.
I can't remember. Well, Kim sent me a list too, right? I emailed her to ask a question about something. I think we got it. That one's not one of them. 2710 33, 34, and 35 are on here, but not 37.
Importing your podcast into Captivate is extremely simple, and you can actually import as many podcasts that you own into Captivate as you like. You can build your own network out, and of course you can create new shows using Captivate Fresh. When you first join Captivate, you are going to be presented with this screen, which gives you the option of creating either a brand new podcast or indeed starting an import for an existing podcast. As I said, you can do this multiple times just by accessing this screen from My Shows. And Before we start this import demonstration, what I'd like to just point out to you is I very highly recommend that you head into your previous podcast host. If you use Libsyn or Blueberry or Podbean, Simplecast, Anchor, doesn't matter who it is, we import into Captivate from any podcast host on the planet. I would urge you to
Okay,
go into that
I sent
podcast
you
hosting
the
platform,
instructions
and within
that
your
you sent
show
me.
settings,
Yeah, I see it.
make
Thank you.
sure that you are displaying all of your podcast episodes in the feed. When you import a podcast to another podcast host, the receiving host, in this case Captivate, can only actually import what is in your feed. So it's very important to go into your previous host right now and just make sure that you're displaying all of the episodes in the feed. Okay, let's begin this process. So I'm going to click import your podcast. And right here, you'll notice that you see on the left-hand side, which you'll notice throughout this entire process, you have some guidance. So we explain every step of the import process for you to make life very, very simple and to make sure that you're never alone. And if you do ever need anything, by all means, please grab a hold of us in this live chat at the bottom right. So let's go ahead and import our RSS feed. Now I'm going to import an RSS feed from Libsyn. It's my friend Amy Woods from the Content 10X podcast. Amy now hosts with Captivate, and Amy, thank you so much for letting me use your podcast as an example. So I've popped my current RSS feed in, and I'm just going to tell Captivate that my previous host is Libsyn. Next, I'm going to click to check some sample episodes, which will take the latest 3 episodes from your existing podcast feed and just give you a little sample to make sure that the right artwork has come across, that the right audio has come across. You can sample that by pressing one of the play buttons here. That, of course, the right titles and the published dates have come across properly too. Once you've checked those, we can check the show settings. At which point, we get the podcast cover art, we get the title, the subtitle, the author, the copyright, and then everything else that runs your show. So the show description, the show settings, categories, and so on and so forth, seasonal settings, ordering settings, explicit settings, and essentially everything that you have already set in your previous host. We'll also tell you at this point how many episodes we have found. If you know that you have published more than that, it's very, very important that you do go back to your existing podcast host and just change that setting to make sure that all of your episodes are in your feed. It's rare that you'll need to do that, but now and again, that does crop up. Next, we set up our Captivate feed URL. So this is our new RSS feed. Now, don't worry, because you will never need to submit to Apple or to Spotify or Google again. You don't need to resubmit. Instead, we use something called a 301 redirect to make sure that all of the directories understand that you have changed from your previous podcast host to use Captivate. Now, I'm going to talk through that in just one moment, but for now, I am going to just set my RSS feed. So I'm going
to try this now with that, and then we'll make sure we do the 301 thing. I may have you do that part. We'll see. Just let's see here.
Call this content.
I kind of feel like we should look at the info on this. Because that's so strange to me. Like, I feel like something's missing. Yeah, it's probably missing from one of the master info files.
It didn't pull the
Try.
didn't pull the photos.
Do you want me to share my screen so I'm not just like looking over here?
Oh, there we go.
This is like more of the annoying troubleshooting stuff that we sometimes have to do. So yeah, we would have account
Okay.
information and like whatever the natural balances are looking in for that account. So it's probably not in here. is
So
I think it's
I'd like you to make sure that they have that set up, the 301, because they're the ones that used to run our podcasts, and it's the same guys that run this, right? Captivate his podcast websites and podcast websites as these guys. So if you could make sure, reach out to them, lovely, just to make sure they have this.
Okay. Which
Okay.
one? This one?
The 301 directs for flipping real estate like the pros. The one you just sent
Oh,
me.
301 direct. Okay, got it. So I need to ask support from podcast website.
Yep,
Is that correct?
that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to import. Let's go.
why did we turn no? So now it says cash, but it's still financial balances credit, which is odd. Usually card.
Ta-da. Oops, I guess I have to edit the settings there.
So all your shows for that podcast will be transferred over here. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Even though
Oh, okay.
it doesn't matter because we're not updating. Oh, this wasn't updating. Look at us. Freaking slackers. Hold on. It looks like we might have some work to do here. Natural balance. Assuming it's a debit. Deferred. We'll hope that that's right.
Pretty cool.
It's not like a ton. Um, okay. Yeah, it's not too shabby. I'll keep it filtered so you can just pop it in here later and I'll save whatever you did already. Still don't think that answers the question as to why that didn't kick out in that way, but it kind of explained anyway why it might be a debit or a credit balance in the explanation. I just don't know if that's appropriate, that it's not its own exception. But yeah, we'll get up to speed on the input at least. So, sorry. Okay. I think the explanation on it is good.
Hmm. So that's how we do it here. Redirect it in a minute once I pull this out somehow. I don't know where the feed is here in Buzzsprout. There it is.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that explanation. So let's make it better. That might have been the account that we asked Brett about for the trend. Okay. But this is specific to a balance in this one. Cool.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong here.
It is mixed. So cash. We definitely don't want to have an explanation that makes it look like it resolved itself at some point when it's not resolved. So I think I'm like, we should probably look at it. Right. This is kind of an annoying amount of data. So we have cash and cool entries in here. What is the exception again? Debit exception. Why is this in the debit position? I don't know. Yeah, I think a lot of them are system generated because there's no text description on them. Which I mean, that's like SAP saying like, nope, this should have been cash. And so I would love to say that SAP is set up to send things to cache from cache clears, but it actually comes to cache
There,
and
does
then
that redirect your
automatically
Buzzsprout
reverses it back out.
RSS feed?
Just to make it complicated and a whole lot of data. So anytime there's a version 0 entry with no text description, that's why. It's a system generated cache topside. So let's see if we can get this.
I don't know where the current RSS feed is. That's the problem.
Or Buzzsprout?
Right. I can't find it. Like, I don't know where it is.
Thinking cache cool and all the blanks should mostly net out. Except for like whatever the latest cache to accrual entry is. I want to double check myself on that assumption. To confirm. That's not confirmed. No, there's a lot of system generated outsides in there. Well, let's look at everything first.
This should be it right here.
Everything else pretty much offsets to the total of everything else. That I just looked at. Okay, I'm gonna try a pivot table.
There we go. Thank you, Google.
This is the kind of thing you can
Ridiculous.
Oh, there.
There we are. Ta-da.
So I got I wonder how much this this offsets to like nothing. So literally the system generated top size reversed out all of this stuff, which means all this stuff is like not worth looking into because it's saying like, nope, this shouldn't have come to cash, we're kicking it back until these items like clear. Oh, okay. So it's the cash to accrual entry that creates the debit balance. Which would mean, okay. This is a mixed account in an accrual-based entity. So that means we're making cash equal accrual. So the accrual detail should really explain what we mean. Okay. Steered us in the wrong direction there. Try that again. I feel like I could benefit from like a column for accrual-based entities or whatever, which might actually be a hidden column. Maybe that needs to change.
Boom. All right, both routes done.
This cleared on April 1st. I wonder why. I wonder if they like. It was cleared.
All right, so
re-cleared or something.
obviously
I don't know why
you have the
it's-
login and stuff for this to just kind of follow the instructions on the 301 redirect on podcast websites and just let me know when that's done. And we're pretty much done here. But what's going to end up happening is we are going to start creating more podcasts for the Outfast podcast, and we're going to create a couple new ones here soon. And we may actually just not do Outfast podcast. We may just do a new one called the Closer's Corner podcast. But I wanted to have all of these here, and then we can do. We have a couple other ones that we're going to work on as well. But we're going to start getting heavy back into podcasting. So needed to get this done. So sweet.
Yeah. So we're good for now. All I have to do is just get in touch with Buzzsprout, with podcast website for 301 direct.
Correct. Yep. We're good to go.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll
Thanks,
just
love.
upload it in Kartra.
Perfect. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.